I know I vanished for a month, and I know I keep saying I have projects galore, mostly up here, that I start and stop on frequently because I keep getting distracted by stuff, whether it's current events, Spider-Man Miles Morales. But that's par for the course for me at this point, and that was even before the global pandemic started, so I'm not feeling too guilty about that. But I do find it kind of interesting that this is the topic that inspires me to finally get in front of the camera again and talk to y'all. And before I get into it, I'm just going to throw it out there and say, these are just my thoughts and opinions. I'm not saying these are right. I'm not even saying like I have the insight into how the industry works or what all the head honchos plan to do and here's what their strategy should be. These are just merely some thoughts that came to me that I just need to get out there with regards to the recent announcement. Honestly, has become a lot more polarizing than I thought it was going to be. It was going to be impactful, granted, but the announcement of Warner Brothers basically saying that their entire 2021 slate of films is going to be running simultaneously on HBO Max along with theatrical releases. That has become sort of a hot button issue on the social medias. People and critics whose opinions and whose insight I really have come to respect and value are really divided on this, I've noticed. A lot of people are getting very kind of hyperbolic, let's say, with regards to this whole all hell no or a whole hell yes. And I'm just over here saying, it's fine. Things will be okay on that front. We've got bigger things to worry about. Like, I don't know, surviving. They're going to release I think mainly a lot of their big summer, spring releases, the blockbusters, on HBO Max, while also seeing if they can solidify some theatrical releases to coincide with that. This is no doubt in response to their experiment with Tenet over the summer that didn't really pay off for them with regards to the theater-going experience. This seems like a good enough kind of extension of that, I feel, wherein, yeah, you're not going to be able to recoup the loss of the theater, but, you'll pull in subscribers, at least, or some new subscribers, hopefully. It's a cynical corporate move, certainly, but if that's what they got to do to take on the mouse, that's what they got to do to take on the mouse. I'm not saying it's altruistic. It is absolutely a pure company move, and I'm sure it's going to bite a lot of employees and so forth in the ass, but this is what they feel they need to do to adapt. I'm not saying it's the right way to adapt, it's just a method, because this is unprecedented, We haven't had to deal with the potential collapse, I guess, of the cinema-going experience in modern times. What I do feel is kind of a downer is to see the head honchos of some of the major theater chains kind of speak up and say, hey, we take offense to this. How dare you try to make viewing movies easier for a public that's being encouraged to stay at home and wear a mask. Oh, by the way, stay at home and wear a mask, please. The head of, I believe, the AMC chain was in an interview basically saying, like, we were cool with the idea of Wonder Woman 84 being like an exclusive release for HBO Max. Just that one. But they aren't on board with, I guess, the entire slate getting similar treatment. And they're saying, like, this will absolutely cripple us. And I can't believe that they would kind of like spring this on us. Like, I guess all the major chains only found out an hour before the announcement was made. So they're taking umbrage with the move, certainly. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't take umbrage with the move, because, yeah, it is their company, it is their money, and it is the difference they will have to eat when it comes to box office. But I just have a couple of thoughts with regards to that, coming to it as an individual who, right before the pandemic started, decided, you know what? I would be okay with the movie theater going experience getting streamlined a little bit. And I was thinking this before everything shut down. Just a little bit about my theater going experiences, because I know I'm going to probably get into this on Sunday with the guys on the Three Geeks podcast, because I know my opinion on this differs slightly with theirs, and we'll probably get into a nice, robust debate. Yeah, major movie theater chains are kind of the worst. One, price gouging, upping the price on all extra stuff like, say, concessions or reserved seating or things of that nature. Already wasn't that appealing to me. Two, a lack of enforcement of certain protocols or conduct that you would probably want at a theater. I'm saying this even before pandemic times, not just contact precautions or things like that, but just general behavior that people need to kind of adhere to. And three, overall hygiene and quality upkeep of the establishment. These are all issues before Corona hit our shores. And like I said, these are all issues that factored into my decision to not be a regular going movie theater attendee. Basically, I kind of welcome the HBO Max decision. I've been subscribed to HBO for years, and HBO Max was just a nice little add-on for me. So it's no skin off my teeth or whatever the saying or idiom is. Some of these movies I have no interest in seeing, so I won't shed a tear if I miss my window to watch them exclusively on the platform. Others, you know what? I just want to see them. It is for me a kind of a selfish feeling of I just need an instant gratification. But at the same time, I decided way before all this started that, guess what? When Dune comes out, chances are I don't want to go see it in a stuffy theater with a bunch of people who smell funny and kids crying and people lighting up the theater with their goddamn cell phones to take video of the movie they're watching, because yuck, 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 we gotta post the spoilers on YouTube and no one takes care of that shit. I'm perfectly fine with Dune being a home theater experience for me. And guess what? It's gonna be a long-ass movie. I don't mind pausing it to go take a pee break and come back and not miss a beat. I don't mind having my own food that I make myself, and they are at reasonable prices for what I bought them for, and just chilling out. But the one thing I really kind of was oh, that's not a cool thing to say right now, is when the head of AMC said something to the effect of, I think the audiences just need to be patient. A vaccine's on the way. We'll be able to get things back to normal in no time. We're not getting things back to normal after this. And this touches upon just this whole year in general. I feel like everyone has this fantasy in their head that the vaccine will just kind of wipe the slate clean and we can just pick up where we left off. That's not the case. Things, not just going with movie theaters, but with all our social gatherings, how we interact, and the protocol we have to abide by when we're in certain settings is going to have to change dramatically regardless, not just because we took care of the Rona. I'm sure a lot more testing needs to go through the works, effectiveness of said vaccine, if it has staying power in the subjects it's being administered to, perhaps. Distribution of the vaccine across this whole country. Probably going to be a big pain in the ass, especially when you got higher volumes of cases in smaller, more contained areas like, say, Manhattan, the West Coast. It's probably going to take some time. It's probably not going to be on the timetable that a lot of these higher-ups are anticipating things to work. So guess what? I can be a patient person, certainly, but when it comes to stuff that can easily be delivered to us through something such as a streaming service, you know what? I really don't need the big theatrical experience for Dune or for Godzilla vs. Kong or any of that. I'm perfectly fine with watching it at home. Yes, that is a very introverted thing of me to say, and yes, I'm very biased because my experiences in movie theaters, especially the big franchise theaters, has been shitty. So I am not opposed to this. What I will say on the HBO Max side of things is you guys better get your Roku shit together though. I have friends, I have family who have Roku and they want to get on this service because a lot of them do already have HBO subscriptions, but they use Roku, and there's nothing there yet. So, if anything, channel your efforts into that maybe. Give them a version to work off of for that particular system, because that's where you can also get a huge subscriber count. I think people underestimate the power of the Roku users. I don't know. I'm just rambling probably at this point. Do I think this is the death blow for cinema-going experiences? I don't necessarily think that. What I would prefer is that it's the death blow for the larger franchises in some regard. Like AMC, like Cinemark. I wouldn't mind them getting reined in quite a bit, because those issues I mentioned before, those were issues well before this whole thing started. I would love to keep, smaller cinemas that maybe have a little bit more, I guess, niche focus when it comes to the films that they distribute. I would love to keep those going. I would love to keep Fathom events going, because Fathom events bring us some of the more interesting stuff, like Tommy Wiseau and Greg Sestero in another movie together, or like live broadcasts of big events such as the Monty Python reunion or opera or things like that. I do like that stuff, and I would love for that to continue. But when it comes to, say, the big blockbuster movies and franchises, I wouldn't be disappointed if this was the direction certain companies and their platforms took. Because honestly, budgets and marketing the way it is these days, it's so bloated. It's so exuberant and so over the top that it's not needed, especially when a lot of these movies don't recoup their box office in good years that aren't plagued with plague. Moving Godzilla vs. Kong to HBO Max, that's fine, because Godzilla King of the Monsters didn't do the numbers that they wanted, and that was last year. So yeah, I'm very much of the Roger Corman school of thought here, where it's like, you don't need to spend that much money for distribution and marketing on things that most likely aren't going to pay off for you anyways. So you can channel the money somewhere else, like, say, I don't know, promotion of other filmmakers and their projects, filmmakers of diverse backgrounds, I don't know, writers and screenplays perhaps that expand a little bit more on representation maybe. Who knows? Start a couple of foundations and charities under your studio. I know it's not the most beneficial approach, but like I said, things are going to have to change all around, not just in the movie making industry, but just in the way we handle our social interactions, especially when it comes to large numbers and crowds. I want things to change for the better. I want us to be a little bit more sensible about how we interact with each other from here on out, because now we know. Knowing's half the battle. All right, I'm rambling. I don't know if you all have any thoughts or opinions on this, or maybe even some possible solutions. I would love to know what those are. I just figured I'd just vent for a bit and give my 2 cents on how I plan to approach this, which is, I'm just going to enjoy all those movies here at home. That's fine by me. If you want to go do the whole screening thing for a theater-going experience, that's still going to be available to you. But above all else, wear a mask and wash your hands, please. Thanks.